And by a good pick, I mean 1 or 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna
And
still hold
I'm
strong with top 3,
3. All
but
right,
I
we'll agree on 3. Fine, 3. I so want Darren Peterson here. Like I so want Darren, and I know it's not going to happen. I know I can be getting my hopes up, right? Like we're going to get A's or Cooper,
Well,
and
the
we got.
thing is regardless, even if the Nets do get the number 1 pick, there's a chance that they would more likely take AJ DeBanston than they would Peterson. Because again,
All right,
you've drafted a number of guards this past season, right? DeBanston is the guy that makes sense. A BYU product, similar upbringing to Yegor Demon, you know, has the chemistry of being coached by an NBA caliber, head coach over at BYU. He was an assistant for a number of years in the NBA. You know, it's really just going to depend. Like you see a lot of the times when some of these guys repeat picks, they take players from the same schools. There has been numerous times where, Duke players are taken in back-to-back years by certain teams, right? Like it happens.
I saw a PJ Tucker Longhorns jersey yesterday. That's extraordinary, by the way.
That's a hell of a pull. I mean, shit. If you
Yeah,
own a PJ Washington, but you said PJ Washington,
PJ Tucker,
PJ
PJ
Tucker.
Tucker.
Yeah, if you own a
Yeah,
PJ Tucker jersey, dude, Godspeed.
he was really good at Texas. He was really good. PJ Washington went to Kentucky, and I asked Calvin Johnson because that team was stacked.
Yeah.
Hero, PJ Washington, him. Do you know who Calvin Johnson said was the best player on the team?
Oh,
Quickly.
Interesting.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, at the time, he was probably more highly touted than some of the others.
Yeah. He said a lot of hesitation too. Like, that's a loaded team. Who's the best player on the team? He said quickly. All right. So we've got too many roster spots now. I think we're done making moves, which means I don't know what it means as far as this roster. If we cut the non-guaranteed guys, that even opens up even more money. I mean, not a lot, but it opens up some more money. How do we close out this roster? Who's going to be gone? If we just cut if we just cut the Jalen Wilson, Drew Timmeys of the world, what is the non-guaranteed guys? That opens up more. What do we do? Like with the cap space, what do you see? Like break out your crystal ball. What are we doing here?
Like I said, I think the players that make the most sense currently, if you do want to hit this cap floor, R.J. Barrett, Kyle Kuzma, or Anthony Simons. One of the 3, to me, as of right now, are the most realistic options. Say you do get Anthony Simons, to me, you're probably looking at a roster that consists of Simons, Thomas at the 2, Yegor at the 3, MPJ at the 4, and Claxton at the 5. Say that you go with RJ Barrett, you're probably looking at Yegor at the 1, Thomas at the 2, RJ at the 3, MPJ at the 4. Who knows if Claxton's here or not with that trade, but regardless, Claxton at the 5 could be the opportunity there. There's different scenarios of how you can do it. To me, I still think the easiest one is Kyle Kuzma, but to me, you're going to have to throw in a third team there. I think that's going to be Boston. But again, it's more so just a rumor. There's nothing confirmed on it just yet, but both teams have shown interest in one moving Kyle Kuzma, and the Bucks have also shown interest in adding Anthony Simons. So there's some legs there.
Of those guys that like to me, Michael Porter was a great trade.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm giving Marks credit because he's a guy to me. He's not going to get 40 million again, but like I said, he's a guy who could be and I think will be here beyond 2 years. Like I think the next contract, unless he self-destructs outside the court, I think Michael Porter Jr. will be here. I said he's a Marks type of guy. I think he's going to be here beyond this contract. Of those guys you named, is there anyone here of those guys you just named, Simons, RJ, that you believe could be a net long term beyond this deal? That could sign their next
RJ
deal with
probably. I would say RJ.
Yeah.
And again, that would make a ton of sense, right? Like, say you do, say there's a world you're able to add RJ, right? You're going to be freeing up $67.5 million come the 2027 offseason with RJ and MPJ being expiring contracts. But say you do land a Darren Peterson, right? You can replace Cam Thomas with Peterson for this upcoming season. That allows you to where you would have Yegor Demon, Darren Peterson, RJ Barrett, and Michael Porter Jr. as a core. If you could get back both RJ and Michael Porter Jr. for a combined cost of what Michael Porter Jr. is already costing you, I think that that's the route that you should take. Now, I do think if you add RJ Barrett to this current roster, you're going to win a couple of more games than you want to. So, to me, I would stay away from RJ at this point, unless you're moving off of guys like Nick Claxton, like Zaire Williams, guys who are going to have a small impact on the game, but if you add a piece to those guys, could win an extra, 3 to 5 games that you probably don't want to win.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, they kind of RJ Porter, Cam Thomas.
I was gonna say
Like,
you'd have
you
a starting
started.
5 of Jaeger, Thomas, RJ, MPJ, and then Claxton, and then off your bench you would have Nolan Traore, Terrence Mann, Dariq Whitehead, Drake Powell, Noah Clowney, Day'Ron Sharpe. Like that's a little too deep. That's not
Yeah,
really a losing roster. That's more of like a we don't know where the fuck we are, and we're hoping for something. And that's not the place that you want to be right now when you're one of the worst current rosters in basketball. So
no,
stay the
I've
course.
said this before, and we don't need any more veterans. I always get what we need some veterans. Okay, we got Porter, we got Cam Thomas, we got Terrence Mann, and we got Highsmith. That's plenty. We don't need any more. That's good. We got the veterans we need. We don't need any more. And
Mann's a guy
hopefully,
that'll likely be here for the entire season because he's a
right.
guy that you probably look to move off of not this season, but next season's trade deadline when he only has 2 years left on the deal, right? That's when you kind of look for that expiring contract to where you can, again, match it with Michael Porter Jr.'s contract and hopefully another contract, maybe a Kyle Kuzma, to where you'll have 80 plus million in cap space. Because remember, there is an insane amount of players available in the 2027 offseason. I mean, I'm going to pull up the list again, but there are a handful of players that you would want to get in that upcoming free agency class. Let's see if I can ever find the right page. There we go. In the 2027 offseason alone, you are going to be looking at. Telling you, man, it's whenever I try to look shit up while we're fucking live, it just never likes to load. Here you go. 2027 offseason. Let's see. You will be looking at Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, Trae Young, Zach LaVine, James Harden, Jordan Poole, Tyler Hero, Isaiah Hartenstein, Andrew Wiggins, RJ Barrett, Miles Bridges, Draymond Green, DeMar DeRozan, Cam Johnson, DeAndre Hunter, Kyle Kuzma, KCP, Dylan Brooks, Keldon Johnson, Klay Thompson, Lou Dort, Max Strus. That's just the first 10, 15 names that I saw. Those are the unrestricted free agents in 2027. Player option deals. You have Anthony Davis, Giannis, Nikola Jokic, Karl Anthony Towns, Paul George, Donovan Mitchell, Brandon Ingram, Kyrie, Rudy Gobert, Jalen Green, Drew Holiday, Julius Randle, Jeremy Grant, DeJounte Murray, Malik Monk, Grayson Allen. The list continues on in that sense, right? So there is probably over 35. You could be potentially looking at upward of 50 players who impact the game of winning, whether it be as high caliber role players, starters, second, third options, superstars. You have guys in this free agency class that you need money for. So to me, the best route to it, go add Kyle Kuzma, right? Go trade Terrence Mann next year for an expiring contract. Figure out a way to get into that $80 to $100 million in cap space for the 2027 offseason, because that could be the year that you can completely finish this rebuild and begin contending again, as long as these rookies pan out. So there's a number of options that the Nets could use with this, but that would be my goal, is to where you have maybe like 4 to 6 players on the roster that you know can be on your team when you're looking to contend. So, right, for example, you could have Yegor Demon, the guy that you draft in 2026, Nolan Traore, Drake Powell, and then, let's just say Noah Clowney, right? Say that those are your 5 or 6 players that you have moving into that next era. Now you have upward to $90 million in cap space, to where maybe you can bring back Michael Porter Jr. on a $20 million deal and still have $70 million left over, right? Say that you can go out there and somehow get a Nikola Jokic or a Giannis or whatever it may be. And then you can use the remaining 10 to 20 million in cap space to where you can bring in 3 to 4 players that could be high-end role players for you as you're looking to contend. Like, these are the ways that you can truly fill out the roster in one full season. And it's not like Brooklyn doesn't have the market to do so. Not too long ago, you just watched Kyrie, KD, and DeAndre Jordan sign in the same day on the same offseason. They can do it again, but you need to have the foundation built prior to doing it. And that's where this upcoming draft is going to be the make or break for it.
I just feel like that team was building something. They had a coach, which Kyrie ended up getting him fired, but they had a coach that was like highly touted, that people liked, people spoke highly of. You had this team that overachieved, made the playoffs. They, they they look like they were building something here. This team that they have now, we'll see what it looks like at the end of next year. That's a lifetime away. I get it. But this team right now, what they have looks like they're going to be Washington Wizards long term. Like there's nothing here. Like this is just I look at this and I want to my eyes are bleeding. Like I can't, like this is brutal, bro. Like and then what happened with the camp, it just looks like a dysfunctional organization with no direction. Like that's what I see now. I didn't see that in 2019. I saw a team with the direction. This I look at, I see the complete opposite.
Again, it's going to really come down to what is the pick next year and how do these rookies this year pan out. Say
we get the Banter, it's a completely different conversation, right?
Say Jaeger exceeds expectations this year. Say Drake Powell looks like he can be a true rotational piece in a 3-and-D wing. Say Nolan Troyer looks like he could play alongside Jaeger or be your backup point guard long term. Then you're a Debansta Boozer away from being like, all right, we got 4 to 5 solid guys with upside currently here on rookie deals. You got guys like Clowney, you got guys like potentially Sharp who could still be here. Now you're just a superstar and some depth away from being into that top 6 seed conversation where you can build that out long term. That's the way to look at it, right? Because again, the key is going to be is can you get a superstar here in free agency in 2027? If you can get a guy with just cap space without having to give up an immense amount of assets, you're then in a position to where you can add that secondary star through the trade market while still having enough draft capital to continue building out the depth and the youth long term, right? Say that you are able to get a superstar in free agency, right? Like just, think for a second, you get a Jokic or you get a Giannis in 2027. You still can trade 4 first-round picks for a secondary star to play alongside, a potential Debanster or Boozer plus a Jaeger. Like there's ways to do it to where it will work while still also having, 7 to 10 additional first-round picks in your arsenal to improve the roster, to draft, do whatever you want with it. So again, it all comes down to this year's draft and how the rookies pan out. That'll tell you whether or not 2027 is the offseason where you can go all in, or if you are going to have to look to start, making certain trades to improve the roster.
Like I said, I mean, this is why I think, and we said this last year too. Last year was the most important because you had all those picks. It was the most important season in Nets history. I'm going to say the same about this year, but we don't have 4, which turned into 5 first-round picks. We have 1.
1 first, 3 seconds.
Yeah. So again, the seconds to me are almost useless. Like those are like 7th-round picks in the NFL drafts. Like
they are. That's the type of thing where it's like you package the 2 highest and you move up into like the 26 through 30 range. You know what I mean? And I don't want to add another guy in the 26 through 30. To me, you got to find a second pick in the top 17.
It's too many picks at this point. Like this is like it's not a good problem to have anymore. It's just too many picks.
Yeah, but again, we say that, but look at OKC. They've managed to make it work. It really just depends on who you're drafting. You have to find system fits and guys that you can develop into players who fit your culture to win championships. OKC continuously drafts guys who fit their system and helps them win championships. Isaiah Joe, Andrew Wiggins, Nikola Topic now looks like he's going to be one of the best backup point guards you could possibly have, right? I mean, they traded Josh Giddey and they practically just got him back for free. You know what I mean? Like there's ways that it works, and it just depends on the moves necessary that you make. But again, how many times can you really say that you can draft a Chet Holmgren and a Jalen Williams in the same draft, both picks in the lottery? How many times can you say you can do that? You know what I mean? So it all comes down to the drafting of how you do it.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was the Cam Thomas situation, offering the qualifying offer. Is this going to change the way that these restricted free agents are treated? Was this handled so poorly and so badly that it's going to kind of change the way that the other restricted free agents are dealt with?
No. Suck it up and take what you can get, or shut up and prove yourself. That's it. You decided to bet on yourself. By all means, go for it. If I'm the Nets, I sit you out. You're not going to affect what I'm trying to do here long term, and you're not an obvious piece to this team long term. That's how I would look at it.
If the Nets did that, and they're $15 million, whatever they're 10, whatever they left under the cap, I can't see the NBA rewarding them with a top 3 pick. I can't see it. I can't. Okay, you're gonna bench your best player. You're going to bench the only player anyone in your fans care about, want to see, and you're not even going to fill the salary floor. We're not giving you one of these 3 stars.
Worst
Like,
team in the
this is
league
how I
gets you
view it.
5. Worst team in the
What
league
was
can't
that?
get. Worst team in
I
the
don't
league can't
want
get you
I don't
lower than
want the
5.
5th pick. I want the first pick or the second
Point
pick
is
or even
that
the third pick.
point is that a top 3 pick isn't guaranteed regardless. There's nothing guaranteed in the lottery.
And
Floor
I
of the
get it.
pick
You're
matters.
trying to figure out how to bring down the house in the
Be the
rig
worst
system. I
you
get
can
it.
be. Be the worst you can be. I don't give a shit about Cam Thomas. I don't. This is a guy who was drafted 27th overall, has never been an all-star, has never been close to being an all-star. I don't care if he can score 24 points per game. It means fuck all. And
Well,
the
here's
day
my
that
point,
people
though.
realize this is the day that you will be very happy with whoever we draft this year as his replacement.
Here's my point, right? Like, if you were going to go ask out the captain of the cheerleading team to prom, would you go wearing your best shirt? Would you bring your flowers? Would you present the best version of you possible?
Did they not do that last year? Did the 28
I don't know
wins
what the hell
and
they
the
did last year.
meaningless
Last
wins
year was a complete
not
disaster.
show that they were trying?
It was in March, and I said I have no idea what direction the Nets are going in March. I have no idea what they did last year. No clue.
Regardless, the point is that you saw a team who blatantly traded their stars and did nothing with it, and the team that they traded their pick to got rewarded for it. You watched a team who was supposedly trying to tank win meaningless games, especially towards the end of the season, and mess up their draft position, and they did not get rewarded for it. So who gives a fuck about moral victories and trying
Don't care
to go
about
out
moral
there
victories.
and
Yeah.
show that you can be competitive? I don't give a shit anymore. Bench Cam Thomas, trade Nick Claxton. Go out there and genuinely find me 15 Tucson's of Womas or whatever his name is, and stick them out there for all I care. I don't care. Figure out a way to get a top 5 pick. Hope that you get a top 3 pick. But regardless, the floor of the pick matters. So be the worst fucking team in basketball.
We're the worst team in basketball. If you guys think it's Utah, Washington, where I can pull up the rosters, and that's the worst. It's not even close either. By the way, like we talk about Utah's rosters being deplorable, which it is. They're way better. Our roster is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. It really is. And there's obviously been no effort put into that roster.
No,
so what I'm saying is we're not guaranteed to have the worst record. I can't see us being outside the bottom 3 or 4 teams, but even if we are a bottom 3 team, let's say record-wise, what does that guarantee us? The 7th pick? Like this, what I'm saying is Utah is going to be tanking just as hard. Like what makes you think we're definitely going to be worse than Utah from a record standpoint?
There's no guarantee that we're worse than Utah. I mean, I'm looking at Utah's roster right now. They have Lauri Markkanen, who they've wasted for the past 2 seasons. They brought in Jusuf Nurkic. He'll probably be traded or something this year with him. Kyle Anderson, Georges Niang, KJ Martin, Taylor Hendricks, whose leg literally turned into spaghetti soup last season, so you have no clue how he's going to come back. Cody Williams, Walker Kessler, Ace Bailey, Isaiah Collier, Kyle Flipowski, Keontae George.
It's not a good roster. I'm not
it's
saying
not a good roster whatsoever.
Better than ours.
Yeah, it's not a good roster, but if you play your players realistically, you should have Keontae George, Kyle Flipowski, Lauri Markkanen, Ace Bailey. Those should be your 4 core guys, right? What core is better? Those 4 or Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton, Michael Porter Jr., and Yegor Demon?
Well,
it's a conversation.
It what you mean by better, right? Like, which one would I rather have? I'd rather have the one with Ace Bailey. Yeah. Which one is better? Like, which one would win a game? That's a more difficult.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? And that's where you got to figure out whether or not the depth that you have on these rosters are bad enough to lose these games down the stretch. Again, I've been saying it for the past 4 months. It is all going to come down to if the bench can suck bad enough to where they can't outplay other teams' benches. It's really it. And right now, our entire bench outside of Terrence Mann is probably filled with guys within their first 3 years. Dariq Whitehead, who's rarely played in the NBA. Noah Clowney, who can't stay healthy. Drake Powell, Nolan Traore, Ben Saraf, Danny Wolf, guys who have never played an NBA game. These should result in losses.
But this is what I was saying. When you were saying we would draft, if we got the first pick, we would take the Bansa over Peterson. Fine. I don't care. Just get the better player. Okay?
Just get the guy that you feel is the best fit and is the most potential long-term.
I would go with the second half of that. The best fit this team is garbage, right? Like, I don't. There's no fit because the team's a disaster, right?
But
Like
the same thing was said about the Thunder with Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams being selected at 13th overall was something that the entire league viewed as stupidity. He wasn't even a guy that was looked at as a lottery pick. Sometimes when you get a guy out there that you believe in, that you know is your guy, you take
Yeah.
him. Yegor Demon,
Sure.
for example, this past
Sure.
year, right? A guy who nobody thought was going to be a good player in terms of a top 10 pick, who shouldn't have been selected in the top 10, who many teams, if not every team, thought the Nets were stupid for. But if this works and he looks like he could be your third option, or he could be your Tyrese Halliburton, or he could be your Franz Wagner, whatever position he's going to play this upcoming season, then we look like geniuses, right? So to me, 1, 2, or 3, you just get the guy that you feel is a better fit next to your main core long term, who's also going to have that superstar potential. You can't go wrong with Peterson. You can't go wrong with Dubansta. You can't go wrong with Boozer. Whichever one's added fits Yegor Demon perfectly, right? Yegor is not a guy who's going to give you 23 plus per game. Darren Peterson is, right? Yegor Demon isn't a guy who's 6'9" with freak athletic ability. He's 6'9", moves a little slow, is a primary playmaker and spot up shooter. So Dubansta works perfectly next to him. You know, Yegor Demon isn't a guy that has a paint presence, who can space the floor, who has an incredible defensive ability like Cam Boozer does. Boozer fits him perfectly. So it's really just going to come down to who the pick is.
Yeah, just because we took all these guards in this past draft doesn't mean, like, to me, Ben Surratt and Drake Powell don't get a say on whether or not we draft Peterson.
Drake Powell, I disagree with. I think he's going to be one of the best rotational.
He gets a say, so we're not going to draft. We're not going to draft.
Not he has a say, but I think he's going to be one of the best rotational pieces in basketball within the next 5 years. I truly do think he has the Herb Jones ability to where he can be a 4th, 5th, 6th option on your team, but one of your 2 best defenders on your team, who can be a guy 36+% from 3.
I think he's going to be a good player too. I'm just saying though, it's like I'm not going to say, well, I'm not going to take if I value Peterson over Dubansta, I don't care that I have Drake Powell is my point, right? Like I'll figure if Drake Powell is as versatile as you're saying, I can play him at the 3, right? And I can play Peterson at the 2. So what I'm saying is I can figure out how to work all those guys together. I'm not going to pass up unless you think that, look, if you think Dubansta is, who do you think is better, Dylan? Are you frozen?
No. I was looking down. Yeah. Who do I think is better, Dubansta or Peterson?
Dubansta or Peterson? Right now, I know. Look, maybe that changes a year from now or 10 months from now.
It's tough. Like, you're talking about a 6'9" freak athlete that can score from all 3 levels of the floor, or you're talking about a 6'5", 6'6" potential James Harden with more athleticism and better defensive IQ. That's a difficult decision. Again, it really just depends on which player the Nets feel is going to be the best counterpart for a guy like Yegor Demon. Yegor is a part of this future. This is a guy who was selected in the top 10 as the first lottery pick in Brooklyn specifically, but overall since Brooke Lopez, Derek Favors, like he's going to have some form of say and meaning in how they build out this roster. So to me, I think AJ Dubansta is the best fit next to Yegor Demon if you view Yegor as your 2nd or 3rd option. Now, if you don't and you think that he's primarily going to be a playmaker and spot-up shooter, then go get the best offensive talent with the highest IQ and incredible defensive ability in Darren Peterson. It's really just going to depend on what they think is the better fit next to, Yegor. But I personally think, as of right now, the better fit next to him would be Dubansta. 2 6'9" guys. It would be. I agree with that. It would be a tough team to play.
I agree that he's the better fit, right? Look, the bench is going to be great too. It's not like
I won't say that he's going to be great yet, because again, we all thought the same about Ace Bailey and AJ.
I still think Ace Bailey is going to be great.
I was going to say Dubansta reminds me of a better version of Ace Bailey, but again, when you're looking at a guy who picked a college because of money, who isn't playing at a blue chip school, who may not see the best form of competition, it's going to be a 50-50 question mark on his ego, his attitude, and how NBA ready he is, right? The same thing happened with Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey going to Rutgers, right? Harper at the beginning of the season looked like he could compete for the number 1 pick, but they couldn't help win their team games. Ace Bailey had a lot of shit going on his end for his playmaking, his rebounding, his overall IQ. He fell. So It really just depends. To me, like I said earlier, I do believe that Peterson and Boozer will be competing for the number 1 overall pick. It was
Let
similar
me
with
ask you
Paolo
this question,
Banchero.
though, Dylan. Let me ask you this question. Utah calls you up right now. The 4 guys we take. I'm going to put Drake Powell to the side for a second because they came in the Terrence Mann trade. Utah calls you up right now. They say, we're going to give you Ace Bailey. You're going to give us Yegor, Trey, Saraf, and Wolf.
No.
What do you say? Oh, I make that trade in a second. Really?
No.
You say no to that trade?
No,
I make that
trading,
trade in a
I'm not
second.
trading 2 top 20 picks right now. No.
For Ace Bailey?
No.
I'm making
not when you have the opportunity of drafting Nate Amen, Boozer, or DeBanston next year.
But I can still get those guys. I get like Ace Bailey at 18, 19 years old isn't going to play me out of drafting those guys.
No, of course not. I'm more so just meaning the long-term fit. You're talking about a guy that has an extremely high boom or bust, and you're going to give up 4 guys who one has an incredibly high boom or bust in Yegor, a guy who has a pretty high floor but a low ceiling in Traore, and then who else? Saraf and Wolf.
And Wolf, who suck.
You know, you're looking at decent floors, not much high upside, right? To give up 4 prospects.
Saraf might have a real high. Saraf might have a real low floor. Like we haven't discussed how bad Saraf might be, but
his floor is extremely low, but his ceiling, I would say, is higher for what his floor is, if that makes sense, right? Like you could be looking at a backup shooting guard, but you have to really work on his game and get it to NBA caliber level because he's not ready whatsoever. So again, it truly depends. But no, I would not trade 4 prospects for the price of 1. Now, if it was for Cooper Flagg, sure, trade those 4 prospects and throw in 5 first-round picks. I don't give a shit.
You would, right? It's just you wouldn't do it for that.
I would do it for the guy that's guaranteed to be great, not the guy that has a high upside, if that makes sense. I'm not much of a risk taker. So to me, it needs to be something that I know is going to work. And to me, that would be Flagg or Harper. So those were the only 2 this past year that I would make a trade of that nature for. But
so you would do that trade for Harper too? You would do that trade for Harper?
Yeah.
If San Antonio calls you up?
I think Harper's a solidified all-star here in the next 3 or 4 years. But again, it's going to depend on whether or not San Antonio utilizes him and values him or if they're going to ship him off. Is San Antonio the perfect fit for him? Hell yes. But is it going to work with him, De'Aaron Fox, and Stephon Castle playing together? No.
What are they going to do? What are they doing there? Like what?
To me, my personal thing would be trade De'Aaron Fox, Jeremy Sochan, and 5 first-round picks for Giannis. I think that's the best move for them. You'd be able to play Dylan Harper at the 1 and Castle at the 2. Both of them can play defense. Both of them can play make. And then you'd have Giannis and Wemby as your front court. Nobody's going to be able to stop that. So to me, that's the route that they should go. If you guys have any comments, questions, anything of that nature, feel free to drop them. But yeah, that would be my personal thoughts on the Spurs and what they should do. You want me to repeat?
Yeah, please.
I was going to say, I still think the best scenario for them is to trade De'Aaron Fox, Jeremy Sochan, a salary filler, and 4 or 5 first-round picks for Giannis. If you have Harper at the 1, Castle at the 2, throw in whoever the hell you want at the 3 because it doesn't matter. Giannis at the 4 and Wemby at the 5, that team's going to be great for many years. And even when Giannis is coming to the point where his career is coming to an end, you'll be hitting the peaks of Wemby, of Castle, and Harper.
Yeah.
And you'll have a big 3 right there.
Yeah.
So, and again, that's how you do it, right? You build the foundation, you get your great players through the draft, you add a great player to it to help them contend now. And by the time that player is done or leaves or requests a trade or whatever, or you can't afford them, you got 2 or 3 stars sitting right there waiting for you. So that's
if you do right by the NBA, like San Antonio did, the NBA will do right by you. Now you can say, well, what about Philly? They keep doing right by Philly, and Philly keeps doing them wrong. But look, if you build what San Antonio has, what Dallas has, and you're constantly good, the NBA will take care of you. And that was my point about the Nets. It's like if you do good and you build something, the NBA will take care of you. And I don't think what the Nets have is showing the NBA that we're something that you can invest in. So give us Peterson, give us DeBancik, give us Boozer. I don't see that right now. You're
I
saying,
think it's more
well,
so a test to Brooklyn with what happened in the draft this year. Because again, you do see teams repetitively get top tier picks. Philly, 5 top 3 picks in the past decade.
The
San
Lakers,
Antonio, 3 straight top 4 picks. Dallas
Lakers
getting
got 3
rewarded
number
for
2
trading a
picks.
superstar. The Pelicans getting rewarded for trading a superstar. I think it's a test to us to see, all right, are you serious about trying to build a long-term roster? Or are you going to go for the quick fix again?
I love that we're beyond the conversation that are they tanking? I'm glad that we're beyond that conversation. Like, that's done with. Like,
who knows until Jordy Fernandez figures out a way to go.
We're beyond the conversation of is the NBA lottery rigged? I'm sorry. Are we beyond that conversation? Like, we're beyond the conversation of if the lottery is rigged. Clearly, the lottery is rigged, and now it's trying to figure out what to do to get in the good graces of the NBA, because nobody except for Mark believes that that there's a bunch of bouncing balls in the background and the NBA is picking them out at random. Like, no one believes that anymore.
The lottery situation, the bottom 4 teams in the league are put into their own lottery, and 5 through 14 is put into their separate one. That's how it should be done. It's that simple. You want to fix the problem, and you want to fix small market teams not being able to get to where they should be, and they're losing you money, or they're not getting the viewership that you need to expand your business. Switch it up, because the past 8-9 years of draft lotteries have fucking sucked. It's been dog shit. To be very blunt.
I mean, there's no reason. Like, give me the reason. Anybody, give me the reason why the NBA wouldn't rig their own lottery. Like, why?
There's not a single reason at all.
Why they wouldn't.
There's not a single reason at all. Why is it the only professional sports in the United States that has a lottery?
It's insane. It's ridiculous.
It
right.
Makes no sense.
So they can rig it, right? So that they can
put
Patrick Ewing on the Knicks, LeBron James at home, Derrick Rose at home.
Yeah. And that's my point. If you're going to do a lottery, you have to make it to where it looks like it's not rigged. Bottom 4 teams in the league are put into a separate lottery. The worst pick that the number one pick can get is 4. Right? That's how it makes more sense. Allow some of these bottom tier teams to actually get rewarded. Dallas should never have even been in the question for a top 4 pick. Right?
Or San Antonio.
Exactly. So again, this is where the league needs to be fixed.
They wanted those guys there. They wanted Cooper. I think the Cooper Flag thing was part of the Anthony Davis trade, because I don't
100%.
think. Yeah, I don't think those two owners called each other. Those two GMs called each other and came to this trade. I think that was brokered by the NBA.
100%.
We could get into why Dallas wanted to get rid of Luka. There's a whole lot of conspiracies there, a whole lot, but that's not. So they said, Dallas goes to the NBA. We want to trade Luka.
If you don't think the NBA is rigged, go watch the video of Cooper Flag when he got his introduction to Dallas. There was a question that was asked to him about the Luka Doncic trade and how he ended up in Dallas, and he looked over at Nico Harrison with a smirk. If you don't think this shit's rigged, you're an idiot. Genuinely, there's no other way around it. No team bumps from being 10 through 14 in the draft to number 1 in back-to-back years. Statistically, it's impossible.
Right. So, like, there's always when they do like DNA testing, they say this is 99.9% certain. That there's a better odd your DNA test is wrong than there was what happening with the NBA lottery. Right. So it's like that would hold up in a court of law. So this was rigged. Like, this doesn't happen. Right? No. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is.
And for all of the top 4 teams outside of Charlotte being high market teams, the Spurs, the Sixers, the Mavs, all 3 of those teams a piece away from contending, it's rigged. There's no doubt about it. It would have made more sense if you were like, all right, Charlotte, you get number 1. Okay, Dallas, you get number 2. All right, Spurs, you're going to have 5. Like, space it out. Don't make it look so obvious.
Because
it's a dog shit draft.
That's why.
Because it was a dog shit draft.
Blows. That's why. That's why, Mark. Now answer my question. Why would the NBA not fix their own lottery? Just answer that question. Why wouldn't they do it? No, they can. It's legally fine to do. It's your business. You can do whatever you want with it. Why wouldn't they do it?
There's no reason to not. you can't name me like realistically, there's no other sport in America that has a lottery. The NHL has one, but the NHL is also
Yeah,
not
the
as
NHL.
important in drafting
No
as
cares
other
about
sports.
hockey. Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody.
Like Chicago got Connor, what is his name, Bedard or whatever his name is, and Chicago still sucks. Like it doesn't really matter. You know, the Devils got Jack Hughes. They've been bounced out of the playoffs every year. It doesn't matter. The NBA is different, right?
I don't
If
even know who these people. I don't know. I can name more WNBA players than I can hockey players. I
I
don't.
can name maybe like 9 NHL players.
I can name two, and it's only the two I've been able to name for the last 15 years. Ovechkin, I don't even know his first
And
name.
Crosby.
And Sid the Kid. Sid the Kid still plays.
Alex Ovechkin. You didn't know Alex?
Ovechkin. Alex. That's right. Ovechkin. I just couldn't think of his first name. Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes,
See,
indeed.
Like, listen, I understand the reasoning behind having a lottery. You know, the Pistons could have bottomed out for 5 straight years and had a team that consists of Cade Cunningham, Zion Williamson, and Wemby. You know, it makes sense not to be able to do that. But again, it needs to be a different system. The bottom 4 teams are likely there for a reason. Give them the opportunity to continue building success. It doesn't make sense to screw them.
All right. We've touched on everything. AC Law. That was the last thing we kind of touched on him before. You want to just give us a rundown on his credentials and why this is at least perceived as a good move for the Nets?
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, this is a guy who has been with OKC now for a couple of seasons, and he's helped them win a championship. He's helped them draft guys like Sorber. He's helped them draft guys like, Nikola Topic. I'm not sure if he was there or not for the Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren draft. I think he was. I'll confirm that real quickly. Let's see. How long was AC Law with the Thunder? He's been there since 2022. And then let's see. What year Chet Holmgren draft class? Was it 2022?
Yeah.
2022. So he's single-handedly helped them draft Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, Thomas Sorber, Nikola Topic. It's a great track record.
Yeah. Hopefully that helps here. You know, again, you mentioned earlier in the program, like maybe like take like that power away from Sean Marks.
Yeah, if there's been a single hiring over the past 5 years that at least looks like there's an opportunity of replacing Marks, it's this guy. He should have full control over what this team does. In terms of the draft aspect, we haven't seen him, roster construct, but in terms of who he drafts and who he scouts and who he gives to Sam Presti and says this could be the guy, he hasn't missed. The only bad pick that I think OKC's had over the past couple of years is Ousmane Dieng.
Yeah.
And that's just basically because he hasn't really had a lot of opportunity, and now you're at the point where he's probably not going to be anything special. But he's helped draft Aaron Wiggins. He's helped draft Isaiah Joe. He just took Thomas Sorber. He, most recently took Nikola Topic, who now looks like he's going to be a Josh Giddey-like player. He took Jalen Williams. He took Chet. 5 for 6 on draft picks. I'll take that all day long.
Hang on one second.
Yeah. When in 2022? He was there for the entirety of the 2022 season. So the draft he was there for. Yeah. 3 seasons from 2022 to 2025 serving as their director of amateur scouting. Let's see. In 2022, AC Law joined the Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah. So he was there to help them draft those guys.
I'm so confused. Hang on one second. Oh, I see. Hang on. Give me 1 second. This is okay.
I was going to say he served as a coach for Norfolk Sports Club from 2016 to 2017. He was hired by the Sacramento Kings as a regional scout for the 2018 and 19 season. He stayed there until 2022, and then he was hired by OKC. It's a great track record. Can't complain. So
he's been
give him the ability to take a top 5 pick this year.
Okay, Mark, are you worried that your boyfriend might lose his job here? Is that what you're worried about? Like, what's the You're the first person articulating any concern about this. Everyone else says it's a good move. Dylan says it's a good move. Okay. So like, what's your concern over this? Like, what's your concern? He was with the Kings until what season?
Are you not doing the same? Because Marks is supposedly known for his scouting.
Yeah, and he's not particularly good. Like, name me the picks that Sean Marks has hit on. Here's the list: Jared Allen.
Pretty much.
Okay, like he's a great drafter, is he? How come the Nets are god awful?
The excuse is going to be he's never had his own picks. He's never had a lottery pick. This is the first year he's able to do it. It's the same shit.
Okay, like which okay. So again, name me the picks he's hit on.
They'll name Karis LeVert. They'll name Nick
Didn't
Claxton. They'll
work
name Cam
out.
Thomas. Guys who are role
You guys
players
think
or
Claxton
non-stars.
sucks? Cam
Yep.
Thomas can't get a contract from any team in the NBA. Keep going.
There's nobody. That's my point.
Okay,
Is these
so,
are the
like, this is my
that
point.
are used to try and allow people to believe that Marks is actually good at what he does. He sucks at what he does. He's a bottom
horrible.
5 GM in basketball. The only person that's probably worse is Matashiba with the Suns, and he's an owner, and he just takes advantage of what he can do there. Cason Wallace is also a hit. There you go. I mean, proving my point more. So he's 6 for 7 on draft picks.
And Sean Marks is 0. Jared Allen.
Which also didn't turn out to be a good pick until he got moved to Cleveland. He was decent. He was decent. He wasn't looked at as a star. He wasn't looked at as a star in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
He became an all-star in Cleveland.
That's certainly true. Right. That's certainly true. He became an impact player in Cleveland. That's certainly true.
Can impact in the playoffs, but he did impact his way to an all-star game.
But he also got you James Harden. He was the key piece of the James Harden trade. You know what I'm saying?
And
so you got to count like by any metric.
Yeah, that's why I said you
got to count him as a hit.
Yeah, you can count it, but realistically, it doesn't really matter unless if it's done here. So since being in Brooklyn, he has not drafted a single guy that has been a star.
No. I love it that all of a sudden Cam Thomas, who can't get a contract,
exactly,
he becomes a hit.
You just
Nick Claxton, who you guys hate, he becomes it. Like, guys, make up your mind here.
This man is fighting for his life. Let me jump in. He's fighting for his life. Middle of April, he was with the Kings. When is the draft? June. Okay, so he was with OKC in June. He was hired in 2022.
What are we arguing about, guys? Like, this is, come on, Mark. You're my favorite guy on that comes on the show, but like, come on, bro. Like, come on.
There's no defense.
I don't even understand what your objection is, though. Like, what are you objecting to? Like, what?
Some people just can't accept the fact that what they believe in is not going to work. Cam Thomas fans, some of them can't accept that he's not worth $25 million, that he's not the key piece to this Nets rebuild, and that he's never going to not be an all-star. All three of those as of right now are the case. He's not an all-star. He doesn't look like he's close to one. He's not a guy that's making $25 million because no other team wanted him. Like, some people just can't accept when they're wrong. The thing is with me and my debates, I want to be proven wrong. If you can prove me wrong, kudos to you. I'll accept it. I'll say I was wrong. Because 9 times out of 10, if I'm wrong, it's what's best for the Nets, right? Do you think that I want to be right about Cam Thomas not being an all-star? No, because I would love to have a guy that's a homegrown all-star. But instead, I'm getting a guy that averages 24, 3, and 3. I'm slightly below league average efficiencies, who is not even close to being an all-star. I'm right.
I remember 4 years ago having debates with every Nets fan over Jets fan over Zach Wilson. I was saying Zach Wilson's the biggest piece of garbage ever drafted. He's probably going to be the worst quarterback that's ever lived. And they were, no, he's special. He's the goods. His kid can do it all. Like, he's the worst thing I'd ever seen in my life. Right? Like,
he's great at pulling
0% chance.
He's great at pulling older women.
There's a 0% chance he's good at football. Right? And every Jet fan, like, I hope I'm wrong. Right? That's my good. I hope I'm wrong. There's no chance that boy can play football. Like, zero. Like, it was the most obvious thing if you watch one game of him at BYU. it was obvious he couldn't play in the NFL. It was the most clear-cut thing ever. Like there was a 0% chance that he could be good at football. Like at least when the 49ers took Trey Lance, it was like, I don't know, he only played one game of college football. Who knows? He's probably not going to be good. When the Jets took Zach Wilson, I said, this is going to be Ryan Leaf, Achilles Smith. Like this is going to be one of the worst picks ever. And it was like, no, you're just being a hater. It's like, I'm simply letting you know. Okay. But my point is I wanted to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I'm not wrong though, right? Like I get what you're saying. If I'm wrong, you can dance on and say I told you so, and I'll gladly accept that if I'm wrong. All right.
I want to be wrong so badly. I don't think people truly understand that. Like, it doesn't bring me joy being right about the Nets sucking at what they do. There's no joy in it. But the difference is I'm realistic. I'm not going to sit here and praise a guy that has never really hit on a pick, that hasn't built a championship team good enough to at least make an Eastern Conference Finals, that hasn't made necessary moves to improve the roster or add the necessary draft capital moving forward. You got 1 first-round pick for Cam Johnson. You probably could have gotten 2. You know what I mean? Like, would I do the Michael Porter Jr. trade again? Yes. But at the end of the day, could you have gotten more? Yes. You know, like these are things that he has just time and time again messed up on. No, Sean Marks is not a good GM. No, he's not even close to being a decent GM. You know, he is a bottom 5 GM in basketball. Cam Thomas is not an all-star. Nick Claxton has not improved. These are things that I was always constantly told will not happen. They're happening. You know, like, prove me wrong. I need to be proven wrong. I would love to be proven wrong. It would not bring me more joy than to say I'm wrong. This is what happened, and the Nets are now better because of it. Trust me, I would love to be wrong.
I hope Nick Claxton comes back this season.
I hope he
guards
comes back
the post like Tim Duncan.
30%
He strokes the 3 like Karl Anthony Towns. Yeah, I hope so.
I would love that.
Yes. I would love it.
Yeah, put on 20 more pounds. Space the floor and give me 30% from 3. Give me 18 and 12 a night. I would love to be proven wrong. I like Nick Claxton. I want to see him be good, but not at the price tag that he's at with the decline that he's had over the past 2 years.
All right. When do you want to? I got to wrap. When do you want to come back?
I was gonna say I work a little bit this week. We'll figure it out. I'll keep in touch. I'll figure out what days I'm on, and then we'll figure it out.
All right. That was a fun show. Thank you for the time, Dylan. That was good. It's September 8th, 2025, from Texas to the world. Thank y'all, and God bless.
Later.